So, hi there. I'm Aaron Wilder. I'm the curator of Unstable Language, which is an Amos Eno Gallery exhibition on Artsy. And I am joined by artist Tyler Alpern here, who's one of the amazing artists in the show. So, thank you, Tyler, for being with me. And after looking through several of your other works, it seems pretty distinct from your other paintings. Could you give me any kind of background story about this work and why it's so distinct?
Sure, absolutely. It'll be my pleasure. Although I'm a bit surprised that you find it distinct from my other work. I find it really sort of very similar to the rest of my work because so much of my work is gay, 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 and about the gay experience and the struggle of the gay experience. Um, I have a painting about what it was like growing up gay in the 70s and how invisible gay people were. I have another painting about what it felt like to be a gay man, but invisible in the 80s. And then so much of the gay culture of my generation, the and mining of pop culture, is all over my work. And so, almost to be gay is to be a pop culture historian, and I feel like that's what I am. So to me, this work feels like a part of it because this painting in particular, which means so many things to different people, I found out after I've painted it. But to me, it's clearly a gay bashing moment, and it's definitely a gay bashing moment from a particular group of people. And it is the Republican Party who has been attacking gay men and their achievements and their place in society throughout this entire the 20th century and now the 21st century. And it's just hit after hit, law after law, things being taken away, and it feels violent. And that's what, to me, this painting is about. That is intentionally a cold painting. It's painted with really ice cold colors, and I added the snow because I really wanted it to be cold because
Absolutely.
of the
And
chill.
you made this work last year.
Sure, absolutely. I am a very slow painter and I am constantly revising my work. So the year that I always give my painting is the year I last put a brush stroke on it. But it could be that it's something that I tweaked, I changed after seeing it again and thought, oh, that's a little awkward. And so I will update it. So this is actually a painting that, although it was last painted on in 2024, is one that I started really a decade ago.
Where is there a particular point that you start on the painting journey, or does it depend?
I always start with an idea of what I want the painting to be about. It's very rare that it's an image that I start with, um, but very often it can take a year or two. One of the ones I'm working on now, I thought about it for 2 years. How can I tell the story visually of what I am feeling and what I remember and I want it to be about? I have the whole thing in my head in words, in language,
Mhm.
but to find the visual to, because I have to jettison the language and it's a painting and turn it into a visual. That process can take a couple years. But then I'm always playing with it. Almost any painting I do is 3 years start to finish the first time when I put the signature on it. And then almost every painting is another decade of me fiddling with it after I've put the signature on it.
You'd said previously that meeting artists Don Bachardy and Elver Barker brought together your love of painting and research into hidden gay history. Could you tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about how you met them and where your research has taken you since?
absolutely. Yeah, so I am a amateur historian, and it is really my pleasure as much as painting is to uncover lost stories, forgotten stories. Don Bachardy and Elver Barker, neither of which are forgotten stories, but they were just, uh, especially Don Bachardy, towering to me. Any biography that I read about the 20th century, it seemed like he and his partner, Christopher Isherwood, at least stumbled through the biography somehow. And I have a friend, artist, Jack Bayless, uh, he also says Ballas. He says both. I've asked him, how do you say your last name? And he had a painting by Don Bachardy of himself from his youth, like in the 70s or something, and I was jealous of that. And then through my modeling career, I got invited to pose for Don Bachardy, and he painted um, 8 paintings of me over 3 days. And it was fascinating to watch him paint. And I was in his studio with all the paintings I had seen in his books and everything. And I teach art at the University of Colorado, and I always use Don Bachardy in class for an example. And so it was a real honor. Somebody I'd read about my whole life and admired as an artist to be painted by him. And so that's how that came about. And he was the sweetest, kindest man. He's still alive. He's still painting. He's in his
Right,
90s. He
it's
painted
in early 90s. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and and Elver Barker, I was in a show in the 90s in the Boulder Public Library that was all queer artists. And Elver was one of the early members of the Mattachine Society and was a queer activist until the day he died. And and so I met him. I have his one of his rings is right here, and I have a website that um, after he died, I put together. I didn't want his art. He's not like as famous as Don Bachardy for his artwork, but he is as an activist. And I just wanted his artwork not to be forgotten. And whenever it was a fishing net that brought in anybody who owned a piece and they looked him up, they would find me and they would send me his piece. So I was kind of creating an archive. I have his personal letters, which have since been transcribed and stuff. Um, so that was great. But in my mining of pop history, I have found obscure gay performers who there was nothing in a book, on a website, or anything. And now I've written books about them and website, and I'm quoted in so many different books. And you can't open a gay book about the 20th century sort of pop gay stuff and not find the people that I researched. And I'm the source. I'm in the index of all of those books, and I paint about those people too.
I wanted to ask you what you're working on now, and if anything you want to note is coming up for you in the near future.
Sure. Well, I'll try to be brief on this one. I went to school with a kid who was a little younger than me, who was clearly gay and not so cool in the early 80s to be clearly gay. And I always stood up for him when the really cool people shoved him around and beat him up. He was very traumatized. He disappeared. I looked for him for years and years and years online, could never find him until there was a show at the Brooklyn Museum of Art for uh, an artist. Jimmy DeSano, who did this S&M photography and stuff in the 80s, that this kid at 16 worked the phones. He had no money. This was Aspen. Everybody was rich except for his mom, who was a bartender, and he lived in a small little apartment. And he got Jimmy DeSana to send all of this S&M stuff to to hang in Aspen, where we grew up, in a ski shop over the summer when it was closed, and launched a show that everybody in Aspen, that their mouths dropped. Oh, I did too. It's like, what is this stuff? We hadn't even had sex yet. And then, so we didn't know about vanilla sex, let alone all of this. And the fact that this kid with no money, and Aspen had the teeniest little library. There was no internet. You couldn't look this stuff up. That he had the awareness and was able to work the phone. And it's in Jimmy DeSano's, who's dead, in his CV, that he had this show at the RA Gallery. Anyway, when I looked him up, I did more digging, and I found that my friend had just died a few months ago. And it is a tribute to how this kid was so amazing and made stuff happen and then disappeared and didn't want to see any of us, even his friends, again, because it was so painful growing up in Aspen gay.
Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining me in this conversation. And I want to remind everyone that the exhibition Unstable Language is viewable on Artsy through December 1st.